Greetings and welcome back. My name is Mona and I roll a nat 20 if you're here. Today I have with me the lovely Kage once again for another D&D discussion video.
Oh,
hello! She's here! And if you haven't been tuning into her streams, get out. You're not allowed. Just kidding.
Well, there was no stream this past weekend, so...
But you've been having streams and they should watch them.
I have.
Or I will roll initiative on their butts. Hi, Mom. So what are we on?
Oh, so PG show. Okay.
PG, except for the occasional duck quack.
I need to mind my language. Mom's watching.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Nana.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Nana.
So why don't you tell the lovely people out there what we're doing today?
This is your show. Why am I hosting?
Because you chose the stories.
Oh, okay. So that suddenly makes it my job to run your show.
I'm lazy. Okay, I'll do it. No, we're reading more Reddit stories. I just want to watch the world burn. Anyway, we're reading Reddit D&D story. I almost said Reddit D&D story.
Mona can English.
I can English. We're reading some more D&D Reddit stories, and this time Kage picked them out. Why am I using my arms? You can't see them. Also, we're wearing some really cute summer clothes. Look at Kage! She looks so cute!
I honestly, I have way too much fun just playing dress up with my model.
If you can't play dress up with your model, what's the point? Model!
The number of Lolita dresses I have saved,
yes!
That is not my aesthetic at all.
But they're pretty, so why not?
Do we want to do the one that's going to give you flashbacks, or the one that's going to give me flashbacks?
Let's do the one that's gonna give me flashbacks first. I'm curious.
Okay.
Alright, I'm on the edge of my seat. Let's hear it.
That's a nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
Oh my god.
Because I read this, and I was like, oh my god, this sounds like the people Mona used to run games for.
No! Oh no!
That guy refuses to explore the world in open world TTRPG, accuses GM of being his enemy.
Ah! Okay. Continue.
Friend encouraged me to post about this on here, so here I go. Honestly, there's so much madness I do not know where to start. So please excuse me if the post seems all over the place, but this will be extremely long. Honestly, it wasn't actually that long. Or at least it didn't seem that long to me.
Maybe it was
but I spend my life on Reddit, so...
Yeah.
So, for context, I was GMing an open-world RPG-style exploration-based party builder game. Almost everything in it was entirely original to my knowledge and made by my friend, and I was tasked with running the setting, which can be summarized as a mix of grimdark, high magic, dying earth genre, in which the main premise is that the sun is gone and the entire planet has been veiled in a mystical and malignant fog that spreads chaos wherever it goes. Humanity only being able to survive through the usage of another magical force coined light, which repels this fog.
Oh, that's so
There was just one problem. We needed players. Badly. So we decided to run it over text on a Discord server and go advertising it for anyone who might be interested to join. Enter that guy.
Dun dun dun!
At first he seemed really enthusiastic and basically begged me to join. So I let him in and showed him the ropes, then made my first mistake. Telling him to not be afraid to ask questions. Oh boy. Oh boy, did he have questions.
Oh no.
For the duration of the entire month and a half that I had the displeasure of being with him, he had a habit of constantly asking many ridiculous and obvious questions. There are too many to list here, but some highlights which I personally believe speak for themselves are: is the social stat useful? Totally out of the blue.
No!
Can irrelevant player be my slave?
No, I'm done. No! No! No!
How do I make undead? Can I raise undead? I told him to play the game and explore to find out, but he kept insisting. I eventually caved and told him yes, but not how. A lot of questions that would have been answered if he just bothered to actually read the informative channel setup to explain the game's systems. These took hours of my time. Oh, this last one's great. Is magic real?
What? Excuse me?
Safe to say, it was quite maddening. After enough buffoonery, he finally decides on the name for his character and jumps into the game world. He picked the magic starting background for his character, which was not even allowed, but I decided to be nice and roll with it. Little did I know the magnitude of this mistake. His intro sequence entails him being born into a cult of evil guys and being selected as the chosen one to eventually meet their god and serve it. He's already making me cringe. I've already read this and I'm cringing again.
Oh my god, help.
I make sure to go into a lot of detail about his circumstances and emphasize that he has the free will to do anything he wants, so he doesn't have to worry about derailing any storylines since the game is open-ended anyway. Immediately, right off the bat, I noticed two bad things. His messages were always extremely short, consistently under 10 words, and frequently filled with typos. He also refused to think about anything that was happening, always taking the most obvious route despite his character supposedly being an intellectual. Weird, but no biggie, right? He finishes his intro, then gets thrown into the actual game world. His first order of business? Going around trying to cause a massacre in the starter area. Yep. It's a murder hobo.
Oh, God.
He slaughters a bunch of orphaned children and causes many innocent families to go insane using his magic powers, gaining nothing from it. This attracts the attention of the local law enforcement, as magic is highly illegal in there, and he ends up causing a citywide lockdown with his recklessness. Out of character, that guy then freaks out and accuses me of having a GM versus player mentality, that I am putting him in too many dangerous situations, that the game sucks and makes no sense, and that I am favoritizing other players. This makes everyone else present extremely uncomfortable. But I figure that he must be new to tabletops, so I calm him down and promise him that I have a way out planned for him, and he should try not to kill everyone. He very begrudgingly shuts up, and we continue on. I tell him that there is a ship in a nearby port that seems particularly unguarded, and that he could use it to get out of the situation and also begin exploring the world. Except, he doesn't. He walks away, and just keeps murdering people.
Why?
He eventually runs into a fellow criminal NPC that wants to help him thanks to the reputation he amassed, and immediately proceeds to attack that NPC. So she defends herself, ending up winning the fight, and he dies.
And nothing of value was lost.
I tell him out of character that he should consider getting a ship for his next run and be less murderous, but he swears me off and says that leaving the starting port is asking for death. He makes a second character and does the exact same thing.
No!
This time dying to a bunch of city guards armed with rifles that he tried to take on by himself.
Buddy.
While other players were out actually playing the game and doing their own thing, affecting the world and experiencing its various storylines, this guy was just dwelling in the starter area and complaining that nothing interesting happens to him. All the while, being extremely argumentative about the semantics of anything that happens.
I'm gonna strangle this man in my mind right now. I'm just gonna do it.
This was all just stupid. No, but not exactly an asshole thing to do until he decides to cheat and download the map we were using off of MyPui. I don't know that. I don't know what that is. And reveal the entire thing so that he knows where everything is. Admittedly, we should have kicked him right there and then, and everyone was fuming, but instead we decided to remake the entire map, but bigger and better, and let him get away with a slap on the wrist. Everyone likes this. Since that stunt didn't work, he opted to try and break the game with all of his subsequent characters, even going as far as to try and repeatedly roll to find money on the floor. Yes, this actually happened.
I believe it.
He constantly failed, and never once left the starter area, eventually deciding to stop playing once he gets locked inside of a burning building and fails to find a way past a locked door, when I had clearly described to him that there were smashed windows right next to it. Good effing riddance. We now have an inside joke about locked doors being the final boss, and I am permanently paranoid about playing with strangers.
Oh, where do we even begin? My god, you picked some good ones!
I read this and I was like, wow, that really sounds like Mona's other group.
Really? Oh my god, you have no idea. Either murder hoboing or trying to seduce everything with a pulse, and not in a fun way, but holy crap. Okay, first of all, I want to know how old this person is. How old is this group?
It doesn't say. This was posted 6 days ago.
Because is magic real? I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah, I have concerns that this guy might not be able to tell fantasy from reality.
And if he's going around murdering everybody, that's a little more concerning as to that.
I'm trying to figure out what he means by leaving the starter area is death. Like, do you not trust your GM to not pit you up against things that are gonna kill you?
Well, he probably thinks it's like an RPG, you know, like when you leave the starter area of like an RPG online, like, wait, is an online one MMORPG or is it just RPG?
Yes, MMO.
Yeah, like an MMO, you go to like an area you're not supposed to be in yet, and you get killed by a monster. So he's like thinking it's like that.
It's not. It's not a video game. It's a tabletop RPG with like a person actively running what you run into.
I know! That's what makes it
Not
ridiculous.
only that, but like to ignore the cues, like he was literally told, there's a boat, unguarded, you can get out of here and not face the consequences of your actions. But no, we're just gonna walk away and go back to murdering people.
No, leaving the starting area is death.
Also, side note, as a DM, that whole killing orphans thing, I have very strong rules in my game about child violence. I know that's not like everybody's thing.
It's okay, let it
hope I'm just picturing this player going into graphic detail about killing these kids, and that would have been like an end for me.
Yeah, no, he would have been gone right then and there. Like, he would have been out of the game. I mean, I wouldn't even let him get to the first murder victim. I'd be like, no, you can't do that. Move on.
I mean, it depends. I'm okay with people that want, like, characters that want to play morally questionable characters and actually want to try to kill people. But if you're not willing to accept the consequences for doing that in a game, then don't do it.
Yeah.
You have to fully be prepared to play that type of character and to accept that sometimes things aren't going to go the way you plan it and you're going to get caught.
Yeah. And the fact he calls it GM versus player mentality, that's so stupid. I'll tell you a GM versus player mentality. Yeah, if GM versus player mentality is like, oh, I go up to the local blacksmith, he sees that you're a goblin, and he cleaves your skull in two. Oh, can I react? No, you're dead. You're just instantly dead because I hate goblins.
I've heard stories like that. I've known GMs like that.
Really?
Yeah, I have stories.
Tell
no,
me
but
after recording.
like, I don't know. I don't know if this was this guy's first time playing a TTRPG, and he got so into like the shows that you watch online, and like, yeah, you can't expect every game to be Critical Role. You can't expect every game to be Dimension 20. Like, there are DMs that will let you get away with a lot of shit. I think this DM let him get away with a lot of shit.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, if that guy had done the downloading the map thing to me, he would have been gone immediately. I wouldn't have even given him another chance after that.
Oh yeah, no, are you kidding me? Downloading the map? Especially because I'm a bit of a map pirate. Sorry. Like, if you download
that's different.
Yeah.
This is a player downloading a map off a website so that he can... Essentially, he managed to download it from whatever they were using to display the map. but the map had like whatever this site is, they have like hidden areas that he can't see.
Yeah.
So he downloaded it so that he could reveal those. That's metagaming. That's full on metagaming.
Can you imagine if someone's just like, oh yes, I go to the inn and I talk to this person about this specific topic, and you're just like, wait a minute.
Like, how do you know about this? Like, I'm going to go into the back room and go for the chest that's in there. How do you know there's a chest in there? You can't see that room right now.
I want to look under the floorboards, and if I roll higher than a 15 investigation check, you have to give it to me. Oh yeah.
And that type of player wouldn't be allowed in my game.
Yeah, no. Murdering orphans, refusing to leave the starting area, just like, dude, okay, sorry mom, just go.
Alright, are you ready for the second story? The one that had me screaming at my computer?
Oh, absolutely, let's do it.
Because this is gonna remind you of a certain someone that played in a game that you were in.
Oh!
Online.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Ooh, okay, give me. Oh no. I read the title.
I think you can tell by the title who I'm talking about, and we'll get into that a little bit without naming names.
Oh yeah, let me take a drinky. I'll read this one. Are you ready? Ow,
I am ready. Why is it every time we record, you hurt yourself?
I don't know.
Either I'm bad luck or you're just accident prone.
I'm accident prone, what do you mean? Rogues leave the game after realizing that actions have consequences. Our DM is running a guild setting, Fake Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, oh good game, where there's a quest board that has various missions, assembling a team, all that jazz. It's mainly so she, the DM, can have lots of players and cycle them in and out. Wow, you gotta sue for copyright.
I know, right? This sounds very similar to the thing I'm planning for my next campaign.
It's mainly so she, the DM, can have lots of players and cycle them in and out as much as needed, in case of schedule conflicts, unexpected circumstances causing someone to miss a session, etc. Enter Rogue 1 and Rogue 2. Dun dun dun. Rogues 1 and 2 were an IRL boyfriend and girlfriend that rolled up an Aarakocra and a Tabaxi, respectively. Tabaxi?
Tabaxi.
Because Rogue 1 wanted to min-max, and Rogue 2 wanted to be an anime cat girl. I can't say anything.
That's a mood, though. That's a mood, though.
Neither of us can say anything.
How many of my characters are Mikote?
How many of my characters are Mikote? The group selects a quest from the board, which is a request to investigate people going missing around a particular section of woods. The party heads out and stops at the nearby town to ask questions about the disappearances. Oh no, here we go. Rogues 1 and 2 decide to use this moment to peel off from the group and do their own thing, without mentioning what they were doing or what they... I read that as what they were doing to anyone. Without mentioning what they were doing or where they were going to anyone. They tell the DM they want to head into the Noble District and find a house to loot, while the party is waiting for them to get back. DM lets them have one and, through a series of decent rolls, allows them to pilfer a currently empty house for some gold and jewelry. The party is still waiting, naturally assuming that once they finish, they'll join back up, but they do not. Rogues 1 and 2 both want to loot another house. The party decides to move on, heading into the woods without them because it looks like they weren't coming back. They eventually find a reason that people were going missing, a cannibal that was hanging out in the woods, and decide to initiate combat. Oh no. Be strong, Mona. Meanwhile, Rogues 1 and 2, I keep thinking about Dr. Seuss, keep insisting that they want to loot more houses, and the DM lets them roll for another house. This one is occupied by one guy. Rogues 1 and 2 jump him, and after a short scuffle, end up killing him. Keep in mind, this guy is a noble, and both rogues were aware of this, since they were looting in the Noble District. They loot the second house, and the DM has them roll stealth as they leave to wait for the party to return. Both of them roll under 10. They head back into town and wait for the party to return and get arrested by guards about an hour later, as people saw a tabaxi and an arakakra leave a now dead noble's house, and their pockets were full of valuables. That's kind of funny. The party is currently getting their asses kicked by the cannibal, but the moon druid was able to pounce him as a tiger while the rest of the party beat him into the dirt, so they ended up with a win. Yay! They returned to the town to also get questioned by the guards, because Rogues 1 and 2 mentioned they were guild members as they were getting arrested. The party isn't getting involved with their and tells them that they were investigating their disappearances when Rogues 1 and 2 ghosted them without saying where they were going. Guards believe them because they had bought the cannibal's body as proof as their mission completion. Rogue 1, however, is bitching non-stop about getting caught, saying it's bullshit that there were no opposing role to see them. Oh, come on. The passive perception of most people is at least 10. Never mind your average city guard, which is around 12 to 14. Not to mention the neighbors heard sounds of a struggle because they were fighting him in his own home, and trying to find an excuse to avoid being punished. He eventually starts yelling to the point that the DM tells him, "If you're gonna yell at me in my own game, you can get the F out." Rogue 1 bitches more but backs off. The session ends with the party clear to return, while Rogues 1 and 2 remain in jail. The DM tells them that after the session, they can either try to convince the guild to help, legally, bail them out next session, but face negative stigma on future missions for a while, or roll up new characters to avoid the hassle. Rogues 1 and 2 say something about rolling up new characters, but the very next day they make an announcement that they're dropping out. Too long, didn't read. 2 rogues ignore party quests and decide to loot houses instead. DM gives them one for free, but they insist on looting more instead of doing the quest and end up getting caught. Rogue bitches, and eventually both of them leave the game. Hot diggity damn. Oh, whoop, there it is.
So, I'm sure you can understand why this made me very upset.
Yeah, well, you had experience in this.
For context for the people watching, I had a player, and I'm not going to name names, but I had a player who was playing a sorcerer, and I had the party. I was running a very similar game to this, actually, where the party was essentially building up a guild.
Yeah.
But they were like starting from scratch, building a new guild. So the whole idea of this quest was there were these missing kids. The party had to find out what was happening to them and where they were disappearing to. And they end up in this old dwarven mine, and they find the first kid, and everything's fine. They pick her up, she's injured. They start carrying her with them until they can like find a place to kind of keep her safe. And then the next room that they move into, there's this kid, very injured, surrounded by sturges. And if you haven't encountered those in one of your games, sturges are like giant mosquito monsters. They're really gross looking. And the idea of this encounter was the party was supposed to take down the sturges before the kid dropped to 0 HP. Now, I will not kill a child, at least not on screen and not horrifically in my games. I have lots of feelings about child violence in games. I've made it very clear to my players that I don't like it. But I also try not to railroad my players and tell them what they can and can't do.
Oh, yeah.
So the sorcerer decides that he's going to cast Thunderwave on this group of sturges.
Thunderwave, for context, is very big.
Well, it's not just that it's very big. It hits a monster and then it hits every monster within 5 feet of the said monster.
Yup.
Including the child.
Oh, that poor baby.
We repeatedly asked him if he was sure about this, and I made it very clear that if he did this, the child would get hurt.
Yep.
And he did it anyway.
I'm a witness,
now,
yep.
I didn't kill the child. I wasn't going to let that happen. But the child did get very hurt.
Yeah.
And it pissed the entire party off.
The worst part was the entire party was pissed off, but they didn't understand that why the reason they were all mad. He was acting like the victim in this situation.
Yeah, one of the players literally grabbed him and shoved him up against the wall, and this is a player who came from a place where children were tortured.
Oh yeah.
Like, that was their character's whole backstory. So of course they were pissed.
Yeah.
And then he proceeded to get upset when the leader of the guild said, now we're going to take your part of the payment for this job and give it to the family as reparations for what you just did to their son.
Yeah. It's not
he didn't understand why he was paying for hurting a kid.
It's not like you executed his character right then and there. You gave him a fair punishment. You gave him a perfectly fair punishment, but he's just like, oh, the whole party's mad at me. Oh,
and then we go further into that dungeon and we get to the boss fight. And he gets mad because he's literally told to free the kids that are chained up against the wall. And he's mad because he can't do that and attack the boss at the same time because he didn't have any bonus action spells.
Yeah.
Like, not my fault you didn't take any bonus action spells, my dude.
Yeah, you don't have any bonus actions, tough. Work with what you got.
And honestly, I'm actually pretty sure he did have bonus action spells. He just doesn't know what his spells do.
Yeah, he was the type of player to, like, always want the last hit on the boss, or he'd get really upset.
That was a big complex for him. It was like he always had to have the final hit. Now,
yeah,
me as a DM, and I'm pretty sure I talked about this in the last video, I don't do HP especially for boss fights, and I usually give the final hit either to someone who hasn't gotten one in a while, or someone who genuinely impresses me enough that I think they deserve it.
Exactly. That's totally fair.
Because that way everybody gets a chance. And that way the people who aren't playing to min-max still get to feel included and get to have the spotlight.
Yeah, and it's not fair to everybody else if you're just like, nat 20, did I kill him? Did I kill him? Did I kill him? Did I kill him?
Yeah.
Nat 20.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
This player ended up leaving the group for other reasons, but honestly I wasn't sad to see him go.
Yeah, me neither. But he was another person that just did not like consequences. Yeah. If you're going to play a character that has some moral ambiguity or is really cool with killing and stealing, then you've got to understand that there are going to be repercussions for the things that your character does. You're going to get arrested if you get caught. And the DM, honestly, doesn't have to tell you whether they've made an opposing roll or what the results of that roll are. Yeah, respect the DM's decision, dude.
Like, if the DM wants to take the passive check, they can do that. And they don't have to tell you.
What's the big deal about consequences anyways being a bad thing? I love consequences. Maybe because I just love trauma, but... Maybe just because I love traumatizing my characters, but I don't see anything wrong with consequences. I feel like these people overreact.
If you can't accept that when you do bad things in the game, things are going to happen to you in response to those bad things, then you shouldn't be playing one of those classes or those morally ambiguous characters.
What in the goddamn?
Alright, let's do this last story.
Yay!
Now, this one, it's not going to make either of us cry, but it's probably going to make both of us have feelings, because I feel like I've encountered DMs like this. And considering that, we have a big enough group that sometimes life gets in the way. Yeah, this is one that's going to make you angry, at least.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that title, though.
Oh my god, okay. Oh, okay, this is gonna be a train wreck. Let's go.
Alright. DM tried to make me choose between D&D and a terminally ill parent.
Oh my.
And for Mona's family out there who are watching, this is not the norm.
No,
Nobody
this is
in our group would ever do this.
No. This is bad people. The bad people, Bob. Don't take away my dice.
I know this is a...
Oh, sorry.
I know this is a dramatic title, but that's the TLDR. Gonna need a vibe check. I also suck in this one. And for the skeptics that think this is a fake story, I'm happy to confirm with mods that it really happened. There's slightly more to the story, but I'm trying to leave out some of the more identifying details and keep things vague for anonymity's sake, New to Reddit, sorry for any mistakes. So, A while back, I was in a D&D group with some work buddies. Me and my best friend and the best friend's partner, who was the DM, along with another very close friend, are the only ones really relevant in this dumbass hell. We'd all been playing D&D together for a few years after I'd introduced best friend and partner to the hobby, with the close friend being the initial DM. Eventually, they got burnt out due to IRL problems, including a death in the family, and needed a break from DMing. Enter partner, who wanted to try out DMing for the first time. That was fun. The campaign was going well, in-jokes were established, close friend and DM established an agreement that DM could try out DMing for a while, but close friend would like to return to the DM's chair one day. Then one of my parents was diagnosed with terminal cancer. As the cancer progressed, I ended up needing to skip sessions to stay at my parents' to help look after the family, as you do. Everyone at the table knew what I was going through. However, I admittedly wasn't the best at informing whether or not I'd be able to make it to a session, sometimes only knowing that I was needed back home and having to back out of D&D the night before. This frustrated the DM more than I realized. In other groups, everyone was more than understanding of my circumstances, so I assumed this group wasn't any different. I was wrong. The shit first hit the fan when close friend had recovered from burnout and wanted to resume DMing. DM said no. Close friend tried to offer the usual compromises, alternating weeks, months of who was the DM till this campaign was done. Still no. The DM said that once we'd finished this module, they wanted to do a full campaign. It was clear the DM didn't want to get out of the chair now. On the sidelines, me and best friend agreed the whole fight was effing dumb. The people in my other group who had 2 regular DMs that took turns running games agreed that it was dumb. Next thing I knew, DM had private messaged me suggesting that I could go ahead and leave the group, as I had missed so many sessions to play in another group, which wasn't what was going on at all. I re-explained to DM how the other group wasn't why I was missing sessions, and that I was sorry for missing so many in the last few months, but terminally ill parent. The previous week, I'd needed to back out of the planned session due to said terminally ill parent needing an emergency hospital visit, which I'd explained immediately. DM had canceled that session due to 2 out of 6 players not being able to make it, with the idea of a social contract coming into effect, which sounded almost like a threat. I'd never even heard of a social contract before this shit show. Close friend was anxious about how DM was suddenly treating him. I was upset and getting mad because no matter how much I tried to get across that I was sorry for not being able to play a game that I usually adored, and that it was solely due to needing to care for a very, very sick family member, and that I was worried about how controlling the DM was suddenly getting. At that point in my life, I simply had higher priorities than D&D, and it felt like I was being punished for it. And it was frustrating that the DM seemed focused on the other group being the problem, not my family troubles. DM doubled down, stating that for the next campaign, they'd be making players stick to the schedule, and that if players couldn't make it due to wanting to be in another group instead, they didn't want them at the table because there were others willing and able to play. DM wanted the players there, ready and prepared. They were frustrated with me, and despite acknowledging my situation, seemed hyper-focused on the idea that I was playing at a different table, rather than waking up throughout the night to clean up the mess from a misaligned catheter tube spilling everywhere and watching someone I loved so dearly become a frail, sickly shell of their old self. I was speaking, DM wasn't listening, they'd already made up their mind. I was in no mood for bullshit or further arguing that felt like I was accused of cheating in a relationship. I wasn't going to be forced into making a choice between either group when I knew full well that's not how D&D works. I've been able to play multiple different campaigns in homebrew with multiple different groups without any problem aside from the occasional schedule. I made it clear that there were more important things to me than rolling dice at a table right now. I did not appreciate being pushed to make a choice about which game to play in or be lectured about DM's expectations going forward. If there were other people waiting to play, then that's great, but I wouldn't be one of them. Due to working with best friend who was DM's partner, the resulting silent treatment from them and another work buddy, who as far as I know still plays with them, was not what I needed. I never went to another session of that DM's game. Close friend also left that game. I no longer speak to DM or former best friend, which sucks because I still work with former best friend, and over a year since the dumbass falling out, we barely speak. Not sure if we'll ever recover the friendship we had. It hurts too much. I know my trust is gone. I don't think I want someone in my life who treats me so coldly when they know what I'm going through. Knew what I was going through. My dying parent passed away just over a year ago, perhaps 3 months after the argument, peacefully and surrounded by family. Close friend has started a new prequel campaign to the old one, with some returning and some new players, with the plan of either going back to the old characters or continuing with the current ones once the timeline catches up. DM made that social contract for his new group, and most of the rules are standard reasonable requests. There weren't 44 of them, before anyone asks. We'll keep that one on the back burner. I refuse to be told what to do regarding my hobbies and or spending precious time with loved ones. It hurts losing friends so abruptly over something as stupid as a D&D game. But it wasn't really about the D&D. I know I could have done better about communicating. We all could have. I regret some of the things I said to DM while I was so mad and upset. I could have been better about session attendance and making sure I was prepared to play when I was able to attend. But I don't know. I'm venting this here to try and get it off my mind once and for all. If this story or any details within sound oddly familiar to any particular readers, no they don't. Or hey, chime in with your version of events. I'd love to hear them after a year of radio silence.
Oh.
Oof.
This one hurts.
Yeah,
First of all, I gotta get it off my chest that you shouldn't feel bad for anything you said to DM. You were hurting, you were in a horrible situation, you couldn't help it, you weren't in that usual state of mind that you usually in. You were in the state of mind where someone you love needs you there, and you have this stupid stress on you, on your shoulders, trying to make you pick between a priority, an important priority, and a hobby. I mean, which one are you really expected to choose, you know? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
honestly, I know this isn't r/am I the asshole, but you are not the asshole here.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not. Like, I'm sorry, but if that DM can't accept the fact that you have familial obligations, not even familial obligations, but the fact that you had a family member who was extremely sick and needed you there to help take care of them 9 times out of 10 is absolutely ridiculous.
The fact that they kept going back to it, it's like, oh, you were choosing another table over us. Were they even listening? Did they just want to seem like the victim?
Do you know who this kind of reminds me of? Surgery back in September, and I was having issues. There was a lot of depressive episodes over hospital bills. That's a whole fiasco I don't want to get into.
Yeah.
But it came down to me just not being okay, and this person thought that I was just choosing to hang out with the D&D crew instead of in their group chat, but almost everybody that was in the D&D crew was already in the other chat, so it wasn't like I was ignoring them. It's not like they were talking much either. Exactly. Like, you can attest to that.
Yeah.
And I responded when they, would message and stuff, but it came to the point that we had this whole argument over me, quote-unquote, choosing the D&D group, and they posted some passive-aggressive bullshit, and that was kind of it for me.
Yeah,
but
because who wants to deal with that?
This mindset of you have to choose one or the other is bullshit.
I know.
Especially when there's stuff going on in your life. Our group, we have members that don't make every session. Because of real life circumstances. I've had to cancel game for people because my rule is always, if more than 2 people can't make it, then I cancel.
sorry. I know Pavo's be pooping.
No, he's fine. I can barely hear him.
Go on.
But if you know that that's going to be a thing for a person, like this person clearly told you, I have a terminally ill parent, I'm going to need to be there for them. And I'm sorry, but to get mad when you're told the day before is insane.
I know, that's still plenty of time.
I have players who tell me they can't make it at the last minute and I adjust.
Yeah, it's all about understanding, especially if it's a good reason, like a terminally ill parent. I just can't believe that. Who would get mad over something like that?
Right? Like, I'm sorry, but if a player came to me and told me that somebody in their family was dying, they might not be able to make game and they may not know until the last minute, I'm not going to hold that against them. I'm going to look at them and be like, go, be with your family.
You, a decent human being with actual emotions.
Like, focus on your family and what time you have left with that person.
Yeah. I mean, that's the normal response.
It's a game! It's not a job, it's a game!
I know. And also, shame on your former best friend. I'm sorry, but the trash took itself out on that one.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if this person is your quote-unquote best friend, then they should have been more understanding of your situation, and they should have looked at their partner and said, hey, you're out of line.
Yeah. And if you ask me, that's a pretty big red flag to have in a partner. Oh, this player, his parent is dying, but my D&D game comes first. What kind of psycho?
I have put entire games on pause for people and started up another game so that they wouldn't miss said game.
Yeah, and it's just like, the whole situation is disgusting. Because you have nothing to apologize for. You're just like, oh, yeah, something I said was out of line. I would have said much worse to them. If they're like, you can't be with your terminally ill parent. You're obviously missing my games because you're going to another table. What is wrong with you?
And if it came down to you just not telling them you can't make it, I can see the frustration if they're not, like, told at all. But in that case, shouldn't their first thought be, okay, it must be the family member who is sick. I'll give them a break. I'll message them tomorrow and see if they're okay. Like, a good fucking human being.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
You're fine. I just think, if you just don't show up to game and you have no reason, that's a jerk move. But a terminally ill family member, especially a parent, like, I mean, not that, like, it'd be better with anyone else, but especially a parent. I mean, come on, man. You gotta be a little understanding.
If you had not showed up for game, and I didn't hear anything from you at all, I would immediately assume it was something with Nana or Pop.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would not bug you about it, and I would wait until I would run game, and then I would come to you after or the next day and say, hey, what's going on? What can I do?
Yeah. Exactly. And the emphasis on what can I do and not it's your fault.
Exactly. Like, hey, maybe instead of being the DM that's like, I'm going to set up this social contract so people have to come join my game or they have to get out, why don't you go to this person whose parent is dying and say, hey, do you want to talk about it? I'm here to listen. Like, exactly. Be a supportive friend.
It comes down to the selfishness again. Like, the selfishness of the players before, and the selfishness of the DM. They just believe what they want to believe, and that's what they're gonna believe. Mona 2024.
Honestly, as much as it hurts that you lost those friends, you're probably going to be better off in the long run.
Good riddance.
Suffer. Yeah, there are plenty of groups out there with better people who will be more understanding of your situation.
Exactly. Oh, I feel like I need a shower after all this.
Right?
Oh.
At this point, it's like set the entirety of Reddit on fire.
Please, no, set the bad players and DMs on fire. Just some announcements. We are continuing to. Wow, those were words. We're continuing to do Tokyo Xanadu. You better not miss it. We're heading towards the end of that choo-choo train, baby. It's gonna be great. And Kage is keeping up with her Persona 3 streams on Sundays. I'm so proud. I'm trying to inch my model as close to you as I can. So
we stream every Saturday, relatively every Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Yes. But yeah, this has been another D&D discussion. Always a pleasure to have you on my channel, Kage.
Thank you for having me. It's always so much fun to be here.
Isn't she great? Doesn't she sparkle? I love her.
Stop.
Sister.
Stop! I will make Cabby fall off a cliff.
No! But until next time, everyone, good. Bye.